the presidential election of 1796, the first partisan election in the nation's history. As it unfolds, it is a contest not only between the emerging Republican Party and the Federalists, but a battle among the Federalists themselves. When John Adams, Washington's vice president, narrowly wins the electoral ballot, Thomas Jefferson, his opponent, is awarded the vice presidential post.
They're not two people that you would think of as being completely in harmony with their views of what's best for the country. Jefferson, and this is one of the last efforts at harmony between Jefferson and John Adams. Jefferson wrote a fascinating letter to John Adams in which he said, "You should have won. You're my senior in diplomacy and age and in the nation's service. And I hope that we can work together. I hope we can build an administration, and I will support you." And Jefferson then sent the letter to Madison, sent it to him open, and said, "I've written this letter to the president-elect, but I'm sending it to you for your examination." Madison wrote back and said, in effect, "You're out of your mind. You can't write a document that could be dredged out later that says you were the best person and you should have won the election. And what about all these people who've been working for you?"
Jefferson was very canny, very cautious, didn't want to overplay his hand or play his hand at all at this point. He kept his own counsel, quickly saw that it was to his advantage to align with the opposition to Adams. The interesting thing about 1796 is that when the election's taking place, it's really not clear that there are well-defined parties, or more accurately, it's not clear that the quondam leaders of those parties will behave as party leaders. The fact that the possibility that Adams and Jefferson would come to terms is something that horrified Madison and other Republicans who insisted that Jefferson had to be loyal to his followers.
When Adams takes the oath of office in March of 1797, he finds himself entangled in a number of issues, both at home and abroad.
He had a very, very difficult road to follow. Would you want to succeed George Washington as president? The European nations were at war. The country had survived 2 four-year terms that were very difficult, but a lot of the fundamental issues had not really been resolved.
Adams not only has a vice president who heads the opposition party, but a cabinet that is working at cross purposes.
Adams had an extremely disloyal cabinet. Cabinet he kept in place because, again, Adams, like Jefferson, didn't think in partisan terms, imagined that these people who were holdovers from the second Washington administration would be loyal to him, and they weren't. And Hamilton continued to exercise influence from New York, indirect influence over his friends in the cabinet. Adams spent much of his administration escaping to Massachusetts because he simply couldn't deal with it.
Adams wasn't, I believe, what you would call a team player. Or if he was on Team America, not on Team Federalist. And I think his career also is interesting because the great gift that the Adamses had was a truly miraculous gift for unpopularity.
So Adams, who was not a very diplomatic man to begin with, had a difficult time being president. He and Abigail Adams were really partners in an early president and spouse situation, because she was not only a very strong woman, she had very strong ideals and opinions, and she was not reluctant to share them with her husband. And some historians have, in fact, credited her with being harsher than her husband.